was diagnosed through clinical observation, and I was told I was having COVID. I was breathless. I was in ICU for 6 days. Sometimes they give option of do not resuscitate. It's better off to seek for help. It's even better that someone seeks for help and they die in the hospital than staying home and die. You don't just cough, you have this massive coughing. Or keep it together and be patient. And hello everyone, how are we all doing? It's your girl Adora Gold. Today it's about storytelling. It's all about COVID-19. How God saved me from COVID-19. So when we come back, we discuss more. Welcome back. My voice is a little bit still, I can't shout or talk as much as I used to talk, but we'll get there. So it's about COVID-19, how God saved me from COVID. How did it all started? I woke up one day with a chest pain, tightness of the chest, and breathless. And I was wondering, I thought maybe I had cold or something, because a night before I didn't cover up properly before going to bed, so I mistake it to be probably I didn't cover up. But after a couple of days I realized that the more the days goes by, the more I have all the symptoms. So, and I was like, oh, do I have flu? But where did I get it from? Because I've not been going out. So, and the kids have stopped school, they were at home at the time. So I was wondering, could it be cold or what? Okay, I said, well, let's just leave it. 5 days down the line, the more the days goes by, the more I'm having temperature, the more fever, the more aches, a little bit of fatigue. But the most important thing was that my chest was congested. It was heavy. It was as if somebody is sitting on my chest. It was as if I've been stabbed. And I was wondering what that could be. I never thought of COVID. But towards the 5th day, I thought about COVID, and I booked myself in to do the NHS testing. So when I booked it, I went down to get the test done. That was on the 24th of December. And when I get that checked, by the time I go back in the evening, my chest was, I was dying. My chest was heavy, it was aching, I couldn't breathe at this point. So I called the ambulance. They said, okay, they're gonna come, the doctor will call me. When they called me, they said I should call the COVID line. So I said, okay, I called them, the doctor was gonna call me back. It took them over. When they eventually called, they said the ambulance will come. I waited for like 6 hours. So I waited for 6 hours. I didn't hear from them. So I said, no, let me go down to the hospital by myself. So when I got to the hospital on the 24th, the Christmas Eve, and when they checked me, they said, yeah, my saturation was still a little bit low. I was diagnosed through clinical observation, and I was told I was having COVID. At that point, I went quiet. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I was thinking, was I gonna die? What's going to happen to me? And it was just the breathless and the chest at the point. So, and that was like a day 6. So I said, what's going to happen? They said, well, we're going to check you. And the worst of it all is that I'm asthmatic. So having COVID and being asthmatic, it's not, they're two, in fact, they don't meet. So it makes the situation worse. That's why they said to everyone, if you have an underlying illness, that it makes the condition very worse. was checked. They checked me in, so I was in the hospital for the first night. The second night, I have videos of everything. So the first night, the second night, by the third night, the consultant said to me that, I said to them I want to go home, that I didn't have Christmas, and I left everything that I bought for Christmas, my Christmas turkey, everything. How can I be home to eat everything that I bought? But I was really getting worse. So they said to me, oh, don't go, that they were not going to discharge me. I insisted that I want to go home. They said, okay, we'll give you all the medication. By the time I got home that night, it went bizarre. I was breathless. So I went back in. So when I went back to the hospital, they said they booked me in again. They admitted me, and they said, okay, what's going to happen is we start use steroids and antibiotics. Probably what we've given you before is not working. So I said, okay, that's fine. So they started, anyway, they started medication at this point, drips, everything. So it was still okay. So coming down to, by the 29th to the 30th, the situation got so worse. So they didn't know what to do, struggling with my chest. It was so painful. It was so tight, painful. It was, I can't even like, I can't even explain the feelings I was having. But by the time they did the x-ray, they said it was a sieve. There's a cotton wool in my lungs, and that is so bad. And the coughing, you don't just cough, you have this massive coughing that you cough like everything's gonna fall off. And the more you cough, the more you're breathless. Like, it's terrible. I am asthmatic. I've had attacks due to asthma, but it's nothing compared to being breathless with COVID. It's like the line is a separate line. You cannot even match them together. So it was so terrible. And at this point, by the 31st, so they came to me and they told me that your condition is bad, you're not getting better, your saturation was getting low, my heart rate was beating so fast, we will have to take you to ICU. Yes. So I'll show you a video. So when they said they have to move me to ICU, I was so scared, because I've, all these stories that you hear, that people that goes to the hospital, they die. I spoke to a lady and she was like, she doesn't encourage some people to go to the hospital when they have COVID, because all this story that people die when they go to the hospital, or they choose and make decisions of those that live and those that will die. So all of that was running through my head. But at the point, I was so ill that I needed help. Like, I needed help. I needed to breathe. The problem was the breathing and the chest. It was as if I was even going to have stroke, because my blood pressure was going so high, 180 over 120. The ache was coming all the way to my back and my neck. So my neck was a little bit stiff, and the aches, all the body were aching. Then I was having this fever every night, and the fatigue, you can't just compare it. You can't eat at a point. I was vomiting at a point. I just didn't know, so many things were going on at the same time. So when they said, no, we can't leave you, we have to take you all the way to the ICU, I was like, okay, no problem. So it was on the 31st night. So and they try to do all the observations to find out what the issue is. And at this time, there's no specific medication that you could say, okay, this is what they give to everyone. I'm not sure, but they placed me on antibiotics and they started giving me steroids. So what the steroids they gave me, prednisolone, is the same steroids I take each time I have an asthma attack. So it's not like there's a special medication that was given. It was the same medication that I used to take. So, but the only thing is that they increased it. So so they were giving me direct steroids and antibiotics. And at the same time, the more I take the drips without eating, the more I'm losing sugar, the more I'm losing potassium, the more I'm losing a lot of stuff, and they have to replace it orally. So you see, and the pain, so I have to take paracetamol every 4-5 hours, for the fever, to bring the fever down, because if I don't take it within 4-5 hours, then the fever comes back again. So it was a mess. But where is more scary now, it's about the ventilators. So when I got to the ICU, they told me that my oxygen level was low and they needed to I needed to be on oxygen about 98%, because at that point I couldn't breathe anymore. So just to augment my own oxygen. So at this point, so what they did is they had to put me on oxygen on 98% oxygen. So with that, they were monitoring me with the medication. I was there, I was awake, I was sick. At first, because I questioned them, I asked so many questions about intubation. I said, no, that one is in Norway. So since, so they used the nostril ones that goes through your nose. I didn't want them to intubate me or anything, since I still have chances, because that one, all of them, they have advantages and disadvantages. Even the one that goes through your nose, it dries your mouth, sometimes a little bit too cold. If they have to move it to the gas oxygen, it's a bit too cold, that it even gives you more cold. You have this dryness, you're dehydrated already, so they try to use the drips to keep you hydrated. So with all of that going on, so they were using the nebulizers, and at the same time using the nose ventilators. So everything was worse. By 31st night, first, everything went bizarre. I was weak. I had to call, at this point, I had to call my pastors. I told them, look, the situation is bad, and like right now I need prayers. The only thing that can save me right now is prayers, because one of the nights I do not know what happened. If I tell you I know what happened, I'll be lying. For some reason, after my carer, my nurse for the night, had put me to bed, and sleeping, After taking my medication at about 11-12 midnight, for my oxygen stopped working, and at this point I didn't know what to do. I was weak, I was in bed, I didn't know what to do. When you know when you face death, somehow it's possible that you will regain energy. So for some reason, and I had this energy that came inside me, because I already said to myself, I'm never gonna die. COVID, you're not gonna have me. So whatever happens, I'm just gonna be here, get treated, and I'm gonna go home. So my mind was, I had this faith, and my mind was, I was positive about everything. And when my family calls me, I tell them I'm fine, everything is gonna be fine. But I was actually, I was really, really ill. So I tried to give them hope that everything will be fine. I'll be coming back home today, tomorrow. But by the time I'm already there 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, 11 days, 12 days. So I was in ICU for 6 days, for 6 good days in ICU. I was in the wards from 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th. So I was in the wards for 7 days. Then from the 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, I was in ICU for 6 days. So that's about 13 days altogether. And before I was sent down to the wards when I got better. So what happened was, one of the nights, I don't know, my oxygen went off, and I was there, I was screaming, oh my God, I thought I was gonna die. I said, oh, this is it, so this is death. Oh, death has come. Oh, how did this off? How did my oxygen off? I was calling my nurse. I was screaming, oh, I need help. And they're praying, as they're praying. Someone is there praying. I prayed so many styles of prayer. I prayed the prayer of my church, where I have to read the Psalms, the earth is the Lord and his fullness thereof. And from there, I stopped that one. I read Psalm 91. After reading Psalm 91, I entered NSPP. I'm not sure what it's called, but I'm not sure the full minutes. I entered the slogan. The slogan is, what God cannot do does not exist. So I said, no, I click my faith with them, that what God cannot do does not exist, and I know that this one, that God will never fail, and he will save me. And lo and behold, after I did that, like 1 minute prayer or 2 minutes, whilst I was struggling to breathe, and at the same time the devil is speaking to me that, oh, this is it, you're gonna die. So somehow I found help. One doctor was passing by, and he heard me screaming, and he ran into the room. He looked for quick oxygen, the one on the gas, because the one on the machine, I wrote it down what that one is called, but I'm not sure now. The CPAP machine was the one that switched off, but the other ones, the ones with the cylinders, so he quickly did that one, and instructed give me the max one to use before the lid. At this point, my heart was beating so fast. Do you know what? Sometimes what kills us is not the sickness, it's the fear. What would have killed me would have been the fear. I had panic attack at that point, that I thought that I was going to die. So that thought alone was just, my heart was beating so fast, because the whole thing, my saturation went back to 0. My blood pressure went high, my heart was beating so fast, because I thought that was it. Before I got the help, so they tried to make sure that I'm settled. It took me over 5 hours to settle. So by the time I settled, in the morning, and when my nurse came, I was asking her, where did you go? She said she went on a break, that she has already settled me for the night. I said my stuff switched off. She said she doesn't know the reason, but I just believe that's when something wants to happen. sometimes what's really killed people in the hospital, it could be negligence, it could be because she left me anyway. But I thank God I'm not even counting those errors that were made. What's the most important thing, that I am alive and I'm safe and I'm happy and I'm back to my family. Everybody's well and we are okay. So I thank God for that. So everybody should thank God for me, for saving me from this disease, because it's so bad.
What a marvelous God, what a marvelous God. He has done wonderful things for me. What a powerful God. What a marvelous. You will do it again and again. The things that money cannot buy, the things that wealth cannot buy, they are the things that He has done for me. What a powerful God. What a marvelous. He has done it again and again.
One thing, or the advice I'm going to discuss on this video, or the reason for this video, is because I've heard a lot of stuff and I've spoken to a lot of people. First of all, some people don't believe that there is COVID, but right now most people do believe, because it's not just happening up there, it has come down to around us. So we've seen people, or we've heard about people that have died that are around us. We've heard about people who are friends and family who have died, or we'll see them every day. So it's not just like initially you see people that die and you don't know them, but right now we do know people that have died. A lot of young people have died, young men have died, young women have died, nurses. I spoke to a lot of nurses while I was there, and they told me a lot of their nurses are sick, and it's just a few people that have agreed to work. I will be very honest. You see, we need to respect the NHS. Oh my God, we are amazing. The NHS were amazing. The nurses, they are struggling, to be honest. If you see a nurse, you have to respect every nurse at this time. They are doing amazingly well. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Each nurse will have to have like 4 or 5 patients to deal with. They are running every night to make sure, give medication to everybody. So the time of my medication could be different from the time of the other person's medication. So they have to run up and down, make sure everybody, you can make mistakes, but they're doing well. And for those that have even accepted to work or to be with COVID patients, that's amazing, to be honest. It's not everyone that can do it, but those that are doing it, I spoke to a lot of nurses and nurses at the ICU. Oh my God, you don't want to know. And people are dying every minute. I'll be like, who is that person? Oh, we just wrapped them up, they just died. I know. Everybody have to try and keep safe. We have to try and maintain, and I understand the mental state, the mental health, the mental issue about COVID, that it affects people staying home. People are not used to staying home and all that, and people facing domestic abuse, and people who right now they've lost it because they've lost their jobs, there's no earning, and people who are struggling to eat. I can understand all of that, but sometimes it's better and safer for us to be alive rather than to die. So please, if everybody can at least manage this time to keep it together. I know we're all in this together, so if we can all keep it together and be patient, and very soon everything will be fine. Because to be quite honest, you don't want to go through this, like it's not something you want to go through. You can't, most people give up themselves. Like, do you know that at some point you can't move anymore? You have to learn how to move, you have to learn how to turn, you have to go through physio to get back to normality. Do you know, it took me time to be able to climb the stairs. It takes time for you to move, it takes time for you to be to be mobile, but I thank God now I'm fine, everything is fine. So it's better off not to have this this disease, it's better off not to even think about it than having it. Trust me, it's not something you even want your enemy to have. So I will urge everyone to please try as much as you can to keep safe. You know, let God be with all of us as we go through all of this. Another thing is, please, when people tell you take the steaming, do ginger, do this, do that, yes, we can do all of that with cold. You can do all of that with flu, but trust me, don't even try it with COVID. Some people, it works for you because our system are different. If you have an underlying illness and someone is telling you to stay home, that they kill people, no. Because if I had stayed home when I knew when I needed oxygen, so if I had stayed home and said they choose the people that they kill and the people that they don't kill, so the people that dies and the ones that don't die, I understand. The thing is, they give option of do not resuscitate. I understand all of that, but it depends on the age and depends on how sick the person is, so they consider all of that. Because sometimes if they have to resuscitate when somebody is having a heart failure, so you could actually kill them by the pressure that you have to mount, because already they are deteriorated. So if you do that, you could end up killing them. So sometimes they give option of do not resuscitate, but it depends on individuals. So you cannot judge my condition with your condition, because some people that have had COVID, they don't have to go anywhere. They were home, they only have headaches, and some people don't feel anything. So all I urge you is, if your condition is bad or you have an underlying illness and you know that you need more help, it's better off to seek for help. It's even better that someone seeks for help and they die in the hospital than staying home and die. It would just wouldn't make sense, and I'm sure the person will blame themselves for not even seeking for help. So I will urge you, if you need help, please seek for help when you can. And it's not everything that you have to accept. You have the right to discharge yourself. The only thing you have to do is to tell them you want to go home, so nobody will hold you. You'll be responsible for yourself. So I will urge everyone, if you do need help, please seek for help.
Finally, leaving the ICU now.
Oh, this bed was from 23.
ICU.
Because it's an ITU bed, so it should be kept like that.
No.
You must find a bed on your way down there.
Yeah, I can't
No more.
take it with that one.
Oh.
No more.
Anyway, we are back, and it's going to be a beautiful year for all of us. As God saved me, God will save us. Safe and be alive and be patient and see how it goes. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.